Morning, mate. Chickens. How's it going? How you doing, really? Tuesday today. I've had a lie in me. I've had an extra hour in bed. Sunday and yesterday, just exhausted. Just absolutely feeling it in my bones. Do you feel like a little bit of overtraining coming in here? Might have took it a bit too far, so dialed it back. Still got out and done my walk. Still out on the trail for 6:30, but not doing 10k, just doing 2 mile. Tuesdays is a 2 and sometimes 3 a day, so it's not a drama. I'm a urban reform later, get my arse handed to me in that hybrid class. Honestly, it's harder than any physical fitness I ever did in the army. It's insane. But absolutely love it. So doing that, and I'll be taking training tonight. Not at Carrington, didn't get a call. Have to check I've got signal. Maybe it's coming today. So yeah, I've got training tonight with the lads after Urban Reform. I will be live with Ronnie about 4ish for XG. Otherwise, a little bit of admin at home today, and head into the office after I've been at the barber's later. That's on the agenda for today. Started a little bit slower because sometimes you just got to take your foot off the gas a little bit, innit? Been going hard with High Rocks being in 3 week tomorrow, so just ease off a little bit today, and I haven't decided what I'm doing tomorrow yet. Wednesday's normally my endurance day, and normally I've planned that out by Sunday, but because I was so tired on Sunday, I was like, let me just see how it goes. Really fancying like a fucking long hike, like a 30, 40k fella. Something like that I wouldn't mind doing. But anyway, that's for another time. Today I'm going to talk about winning and development. Rui Faria posted on Instagram yesterday. Remember him? Jose's assistant. He posted it with a United training kit on. So I'm presuming he's talking about United. I could be wrong. They were at many clubs together, but I'm presuming he's talking about United. Saddens me how some great clubs have lost their way. Their histories and cultures no longer critical to new coaches and players. Even if new owners want to win silverware, the objective of winning quickly is replaced by a trend of preparing foundations for the future, a future that often has a negative evolution. This idea is reinforced by the narrative that squads lack quality players or young players developing through competition. Fortunately, I lived in a time where club triumph was more important than all else. Professionally, we demanded winning mentality and then delivered elite results. A beautiful era. I mean, Rui and Jose did some winning, didn't they? And I think if you were analysing Jose Mourinho, at least while he was with Rui Faria, I mean, right up until United, and even technically at United, there was winning being done. Everywhere. And some outrageous success. Inter, Porto, Chelsea, if we're being honest with ourselves too. Outrageous success with Jose and Rui Faria. And if you're looking at what the secret sauce, just going straight off what they're saying there is, it was mentality first, and then winning came second. But the mentality was there to facilitate the winning. And you go, okay. Why has this idea of development kind of crept in? Well, probably because there is merit to it. I don't think you can exist only in the here and now. Or maybe you can, maybe I'm idealistic and I want managers to build dynasties. I always believe that should be the aim. A manager should aim to be there for a decade, minimum. To really put their imprint on a club. Do you know what I mean? And actually players should be there for a decade or more. Players shouldn't just think I'm going to turn up, do a season and leave. Is that a loyalty thing? I'm sure there's some psychiatrists can analyse my own thinking in that. But when I look at United in particular, you think our success came down to basically two men. Matt Busby, Alex Ferguson. Both of them were there a long time. Were there a long time because they were successful, or were they successful because they were there a long time? It's an interesting question. There might not even be an answer. But I think for United fans in particular, and probably football fans in a broader scale, sacking managers constantly changing managers is expensive. And football has changed because of PSR, because of FFP, because of oil state involvement, because of transfer fee inflation now being, some players go for more than clubs go. Like clubs are getting sold for 200, 300 million. And there's some players in that ballpark now. Make that make sense. An entire club, all its youth team, its media licensing, its intellectual property with its badge, its stadium, training ground, worth the same as a left winger. In a top flight, by the way. Not talking about Fleetwood or something. Doesn't make sense. So when you think about the idea of chasing instant success, it's very expensive. Chelsea and Manchester City, when they first got took over, spent ungodly sums to achieve the success that they found. And maybe the idea of long-term development is because it makes financial sense. And that's not penny pinching. With the idea of PSR and FFP and the realities of that, you have to exist in a market where there is at least an attempt at sustainability. You can't have the eras that we saw with some clubs in the 90s. United weren't. United always get accused of throwing money around, but they didn't. United weren't ever in debt until the Glazers bought us and leveraged that debt onto the club. United only really spent in like 2 or 3 seasons. We were outspent all the time by everybody else. Newcastle especially. What a tin pot club they are. Literally nothing without money being pumped into them. We've got hay fever coming. That's a nightmare talking on camera with that. So I think now you're in an era where development has to be considered. And if you look at how successful Chelsea have been by selling off their academy players every single year for, 80 to 130, 40 million every year, it allows them to be competitive in the transfer market. But I think his broader point is that clubs are increasingly looking to build slowly. And on one hand, I think he's right, and on the other hand, I think the clubs are right. So Alex Ferguson probably did 6 or 7 jobs at United, by the time he left. Football grew and evolved. So heads of academy, directors of football, head of recruitment, head coach, first team manager. Sir Alex was all of those because every person at that club came in after him. So he had first name term relationship with academy coaches, academy players, parents. He made it his business to know what was going on. And because it had all just been added a little bit at a time, it wasn't overwhelming. But what it did mean is football got more professional, more corporate in the 20 odd years that Sir Alex was at United, which meant there was more roles, there was more jobs. Other clubs had multiple people doing what he was doing. But he's unique. You know, and he's a legend for the fact that he is so unique. And his ability to control a club on his own will never be seen again. Because it's too much for one man to take on right now. It was possible for him to do it because it grew up around him. But I don't think it's possible for anybody to take that on now. So when clubs are saying, like Rui Faria's probably criticising United for wanting to grow and develop, it's probably because the structures aren't in place that are required to be in place for us to be a successful football club. But where I think he's got merit is, I think there probably is a softness in mentality. I think there's probably a softness in mentality coming through academies. When you think about the class of 92 and the way that they used to talk about being an academy player, being a youth player at United, they used to say stuff like, I was panicking that I would get released all the time. So they clearly felt it a privilege to be at the club. Whereas now, these young players at 15, 16, already with a Nike or Adidas boot deal, I feel like there's an entitlement that they haven't earned yet. They're not panicking that they will get released. And this isn't just United, this is football wide. There's an entitlement that they should be playing first team football. There's an entitlement that, and it's not every player, but there is like an undercurrent of this. The players are aware that they are an asset. My nose is dripping. Fucking hay fever, man. I think it's ragweed. For anyone who's interested. It comes out like autumn sort of time. Bastard. Yeah, I think there's an existence of a sort of entitlement because they are seen as an asset. Whereas there was a desperation in that older generation just to be at the club. The wearing of the badge was almost enough. And their progression was what was expected. How do you flip that? Can you flip that? Is it just a new world where you have to come up with a different psychology to get the elite mentality out? Because those kids in the 80s and 90s would have been seen as soft compared to those in the 60s and 70s. And the kids in the 60s and 70s would have been considered soft to those who grew up post-war. And the kids at war would have been getting hammered because the lads that was 5 and 10 years older than them was literally at war. So do you know what I mean? Every generation looks down on the one that comes after it because there's a different mentality. Sometimes a different mentality is a negative, sometimes a different mentality is a positive. You can only find out in hindsight. But I just thought it was a really interesting post. Worth digging into, worth looking at. I think development is the job of anybody that coaches kids. Kids are only there to develop. Genuinely, not asked if your kids are winning whatever scores. My team this weekend, some of the juniors in ours, we had a game where we scored 11, we had a game where we scored 9. I think it was 9-2, 11-1, something like that. It's irrelevant. Because all those coaches need to be doing is ensuring that them players are getting better week and week and week and week. It's nice to win things, and you should be encouraging kids to have a mentality where they want to win and they don't want to accept losing. But it's not the primary goal. The primary goal is participation, and the primary goal is development, especially at our level. But even at Man United under 14s, 13s, the goal is develop, not to win. The only team that should have pressure on it to win is the first team. Now clearly, there is a lot of pressure on Manchester United first team to win, and clearly we are not up to that pressure. I was having a think last night at some of the players that have been here a while at the club. Luke Shaw's been here the longest, and managers that have been sacked on his watch: Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Erik ten Hag. 4 managers. That's insane. And I was trying to think, has there ever been a player that's been successful that's seen 4 managers sacked? And then I was like, probably Chelsea, probably Real Madrid, because there was at one point Real Madrid were being successful, but the average lifespan of a manager was like 9 months. There's certainly not been any at United that have been considered successful after that. And then Harry Maguire's seen off 3. Ollie. 2. Delo has seen off 3. Jose, Ollie, Erik ten Hag. And then when you look at the culprits from this weekend, Bayern aside, you're like, I wonder if there's something in a genuine cultural reset. It seems that those games that we've lost, right at the end of every manager's tenure, maybe not Luke Shaw, I can't really remember any with Luke Shaw, probably because he was fucking injured. I seem to remember Delo and Harry Maguire being involved in some of those games towards the end. And maybe that's what United are lacking, just raw ruthlessness. Problem is it's expensive, and while young players are an asset, players on $250,000 a week, they're a serious asset. Serious asset. So yeah, just thought, try and look at something different. No idea what I'm titling this. Development versus winning. Fuck knows. Anyway, I'm a bounce. Make sure you have a nice day. I have uploaded a vlog to the members section on this channel. If you don't fancy joining Patreon, the members section is technically the same thing. I just keep forgetting. But I'm going to task out somebody to make sure everything that gets uploaded to Patreon gets uploaded to this channel as well. So, you want to support the channel, can't be asked doing anything over on Patreon, fair enough. But you want to watch the extra content, then all you got to do, click the membership button below, become a member. So Dublin one's already out. I'll be posting the hot debriefs, probably one a day, or maybe every other day, until they've caught up. But yeah, really interesting episode coming out this week. Mentioned it last week on the Stephen Howson podcast. A guy called Ollie Newton, and he talks about OCD, and honestly, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating, because OCD isn't being clean, and OCD isn't lining all your fucking Coke cans up in your fridge. And it's genuinely fascinating, and I learnt a lot. And that's what I'm trying to do with that podcast, is just have cool conversations. I've got a guest coming in on Friday that was wrongfully imprisoned in India. And I don't know anything about Indian jails, but I can't imagine they're the best jails in the world. I think Scandinavia's got the nicest prisons in the world, hasn't it? It looks like a fucking retreat. But yeah, I can't imagine jails in India are a good time. You got locked up in India. And you know, sometimes you see people get wrongfully imprisoned and you go, yeah, you're getting out of this on a technicality, but you did that shit, didn't you? Especially when it comes to the drug ones. Like, you see that girl that got locked up in Dubai, or there's loads of people get locked up for drugs in Dubai. And you're like, mate, you know the rules. What are you doing taking drugs to Dubai? Of course you're in jail. No sympathy. Whereas this is genuine. Didn't do anything wrong, got locked up, got fucked around royal. So he's in on Friday. That'll probably be a couple of weeks before that one comes out. But yeah, talk to me. Drop some comment suggestions. Who's got an interesting story? I'm not interested in celebrities. I'm not interested in superficial little stories. I want that. I want, yeah, going to an Indian jail nearly fucking broke me, mate. And here's why. Yeah. Especially when it was a fucking crime you didn't commit. I want those stories. I want a guy that's going to come on and explain to me how OCD nearly sent him psychotic because of the constant spiraling and looping in his head. Put it this way. There's a line that he drops in that podcast where he thinks he doesn't know if he's seen something on the news or if it's a memory. So he sees a news report on TV. Someone's been killed around the corner from his. And he goes, did I do that? What? Very easy to see how you would lose your nut in it with that. So yeah, that's the sort of stories I'm trying to uncover. And I think so far we've done a really good job on the podcast of finding those people with those stories. But there's always more. And I need 1 or 2 a week. So talk to me. Drop them suggestions in the comments. And I'll reach out and try and get them on. Otherwise, it's Tuesday. I want to know you've stacked the wins. Say good morning in the chat below. And how many of you have switched over to the written notepad and pencil or pen? Because it seems like there's quite a few that are getting stuck into that. I basically just hit the end of a book yesterday. So I ordered a couple more off Amazon. I have olive green, because obviously, moleskin notebook, extra large. That's what I use. So you can find them on Amazon if you want them. But yeah, that's what I rock. And I find it dead useful to, I don't know what it is about writing stuff down and chalking it off. It just helps me organise it better than, you know, sticking it in my phone on an app or something like that. But yeah, have a good day. Take it easy. I filmed a couple of videos yesterday. I'm not sure which one's coming out today. So 5 things about Amorim. I can't remember which one it is. But then his XG files later. So take it easy. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.